Okay, welcome to Accounting 101, a short YouTube where we're going to go over the uh, answers, solutions for the first exam. So, get some room here. Let's work, I guess. All right, multiple choice. First of all, if anybody noticed or didn't notice, the exam was composed of base points of 110 points. Additionally, I built some bonus points in. I believe there was one. I think the highest score you could get was like maybe a 115 or 117. Um, One student got that in one of my face-to-face classes. I like to do that to get people off to a good start, um, build some confidence, set up the rest of the semester. And usually, if first exam somebody does a disastrous exam, I'll usually give them a re-exam on the same material but different questions. Try to be fair. I don't think we need to do that here. Maybe if you want to, I'll oblige you. So again, the scores are quite high, and there's a reason for that. A lot of people got a lot of right answers, plus took advantage of the bonus points. The select all were bonus points, and there was one in the identifying the accounts types. So let's go to multiple choice. Primary purpose of accounting is to comply with the investment laws. No, that would be under the purview of the Security and Exchange Commission and the government. Provide information to decision makers. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Let's look at the other two. Keep accounts employed. Now that's ridiculous. I usually throw one absurd answer in there. So it's usually one out of three, not one out of four. And finally, jokingly, confuse accounting students. There may be some truth in that, but that's not the primary purpose. It may be what we have in reality, but that's not the purpose. So the first answer number one would be B, provide the information to decision makers. Number two, the accounting rules for the USA provided by the Financial Accounting Standards Board are commonly known as GAAP. Correct answer A, letter A, generally accepted accounting principles. Which of the following types of business entities can have one owner? Select all that applies. So you have a chance here for some bonus points. Proprietorship would be, by definition, a one owner. A partnership would have to have two or more owners, so that's out. A corporation can have one or an infinite number. Well, I guess maybe not infinite, but you can have one or more than one owner, as can a LLC. Can have one partner or can have more than one. So correct answers would be A, C, and D. Now, question number 4. Which of the following statements is or true regarding the accounting equation? It shows who has claims on the entity's assets. Yes. Creditors or owners. It shows how the assets were financed, either by incurring debt or by owner investment. Yeah. It shows the net worth of the entity. Yes. And it shows the total debt owed by the business. Yes. So the correct answer would be E. If you answer that, each one was worth a point and a half. So E, you got a point and a half. If you got A, B, C, or D, I would give you a prorated share of the point and a half, which would be 3/10 of a point, I guess. 5, the first step in analyzing a transaction would be to determine the amounts involved. No. Determine if the accounts involved are being increased or decreased. Well, yeah, but I don't know if that's the first thing. C, identify the accounts involved and their type. Yes. So correct answer for number 5 is C. Posting the journal entry to the general ledger accounts, that comes down the line a bit. Okay, which of the following is the proper order for preparing financial statements? Well, I think it's in the book. We went over it in the lectures, and it's also in the highlights. Maybe in the shell outline, I don't know. But I know the income statement has to be first, so I'm going to over one that begins with income statement, so that would be B. So by default, B would have to be the correct answer. Income statement first, followed by the statement of retained earnings, then the balance sheet, and then finally the statement of cash flows. Why? Because we need the result of the income statement to compute the retained earnings statement. We need the end of year retained earnings from the retained earnings statement for the equity section of the balance sheet. And we need information from all three of those statements plus additional information to produce or prepare the statement of cash flows. So number 6 correct answer is B. 7, which financial statement shows where, and there's a typo there. It should be N entities, not and. So delete the D. Maybe I did that on yours. I have an old version 1 of the exam in front of me. And entities cash came from and where it went. That sounds like a statement of cash flows. Yeah. So correct answer for 7 would be D, as in David. 8, which of the financial statements is not for a period of time? That would be the balance sheet. It's only good on one date because things change. So the correct answer there would be C, the balance sheet for number 8. All the other 3 statements are for a period of time. Number 9, financial statements are most closely aligned with which part of the definition of accounting? The financial statements are how we communicate all the information of doing the journal entries, putting them into the ledger, putting them into the trial balance, and then preparing financial statements. So that's the culmination of our work. So that would be the communicating after we do the collection, recording, and processing. So correct answer there would be D, communicating information for 9. Number 10, collection of accounts is called a general ledger. A chart of accounts is a listing of accounts. The general ledger has the actual accounts in them. 11, the first place accounting information is recorded would be the general journal, where we put the journal entries, sometimes called the book of original entry. If you had a specific one wrong and you don't understand why your answer is wrong, please email it to me and I will get back to you and try to explain and clear up any misunderstanding. 12, the place where one can find a summary of all transactions organized by account would be the general ledger. It gets all the debits and credits that affect each individual account in one place along with its balance. The general journal just records them as they happen in real time. They're going to be helter-skelter all over the place. Chart of accounts is a listing. There's no data. There's no information in a chart of accounts. It's just a listing of the account names and their codes. The income statement, that's a financial statement and would only have information about revenue and expenses. The correct answer there, 12, would be A. 13, account is increased by a debit, a credit, its normal balance, D, none of the above. Well, A and B are right. If you answer those, you got partial credit, 0.75 of a point, each one being worth 1.5 points. But it's an account is increased by its normal balance. Okay, so it could be a debit or a credit depending on the type of account it is. Again, correct answer for 13 would be letter C. 14, debit and credit mean A, left or right? Yes, so 14, the correct answer is A. Increase or decrease depending on the type of account? Yeah, so that one's correct too. So the best answer there would be C, both A and B. If you answered A or B, you got half credit. If you answered C, you got credit for both of them. 15, an account number. Yeah, I'm a little bit tricky, aren't I? Yeah, maybe not. An account number, or 15, an account number or code that begins with the digit 4 signifies which type of account. And again, that would be, let's say, assets first, liabilities, equity, revenue, expenses. So 4 would be revenues. Letter answer E. 16, a document that lists a business's accounts with the account number or code is called, that would be the chart of accounts. Letter A for 16. 17, the purpose of posting is to Record all the transactions in chronological order. No, that would be the general journal, and that's called writing a journal entry. Posting is taking the information from the general journal and putting it into the ledger. So that would be, let's see, get all the debits and credits in the general journal into proper account in the general ledger. So B is the correct answer for 17. Prepare financial statements. Now that would be preparing the trial balance purpose, and D, all of the above now. So 17, correct answer would be B. 18, the document that contains all the increases and decreases to each account as well as the balance of each account for a period of time would be the general ledger. Choice C. The journal has the entries in it of the recording the transactions, a chart of accounts, just a listing of the account names and codes, no data or information entered there at all. The trial balance is just a summary of the general ledger accounts and their balances. 19, a trial balance shows that no mistakes were made when writing journal entries. No, that's not correct. No mistakes were made during the posting process. No, that's not correct, because you could flip-flop something, reverse it, you put it into the wrong accounts. As long as you debit one account and credit another, the debits and credits are going to be equal. So C, it's not going to tell you any other that you put it in the wrong account. It's not going to tell you that you put in the wrong number if you did it in both sides of the posting, both sides of the journal entry. Let's see, the total of the debits equal the total of the credits for a period of time. Yes, so that is a correct answer for 19 would be letter C. D, all of the above. No, because A and B are not true. And you can make a mistake and still have a trial balance. All it proves is that the debits and credits are equal, and it's sort of a negative assurance that you can proceed going forward. 20, accounting is an information system that A, collects and records economic information, processes economic information, communicates economic information, D, all of the above. So yeah, A, B, and C are parts of the three-pronged definition of accounting. So the correct answer would be D. Part 2, identifying account types. Below is a list of 10 accounts by name. Identify which type of account each is. I give you asset, liability, equity, revenue, or expense. Didn't put the dividends in there because it doesn't appear in the list of 10 accounts. Office equipment is an asset. 2, unearned revenue. The word unearned tips us off to the fact that that is a liability. That means somebody paid us and we didn't deliver yet, so we're obligated. We have a liability to perform the service or deliver the goods. 3, accounts receivable. Again, magic word there, receivable, one of the few things that helps us out identifying accounts. You ever see the word receivable as a suffix? It's an asset. Rent. This is the one that had a bonus feature to it. Rent can be a expense or it could be a revenue, depending whether you're the tenant, then it's an expense. If you're the landlord, it's a revenue. Okay. One person, I think in one of my day classes got that, and one person mentioned to me that they were going to say something about that, and they should have. They got some extra points. Maybe I'll give them the extra points anyway, because I'm a nice guy. Depends who you ask, I guess. Number 5, cash. Cash is an asset. 6, retained earnings. That is an equity account. Okay. A lot of people might, I think I had a number of people in the face-to-face classes put that as a revenue because they see the word earnings, but retained earnings is an equity account. 7, accounts payable. Magic word there, payable. A word followed by the word payable. Guaranteed it's a liability. So 7 will be liability. 8, land is an asset. 9, prepaid insurance. You see prepaid followed by a word. Guarantee that that's an asset. Finally, common stock is an equity account. Okay, part 3. preparing journal entries. The amazing Alakazam retired as one of the top 14,250 magicians in the world. He was actually ranked number 14,239th 2 years ago. He has been very bored with retirement and decides to start a business to occupy his time and supplement his income, providing human bodies deceased, of course, to medical schools. Please record general journal entries in proper form for the following transactions for Abracadabra Cadavers, Inc. Dates, descriptions, or posting references need be provided. No, do not need to be provided because you don't have them. Another typo on my part. Choose accounts from the following or make up your own. So I try to help you out by giving you some accounts. If you didn't like those, you could make up your own. As long as it was reasonable, rational, and somewhat indicative of what the account is and what it does, I would give you credit. I think I had one or two people come up with something that wasn't in the list, but they were fine. I think it had to deal with the revenues. Transaction A. Mr. Alakazam contributes $25,000 to the corporation in exchange for stock. So the corporation is getting cash and asset account. So we're increasing it with a debit of $25,000. And the corporation is issuing Mr. Alakazam common stock of $25,000. Common stock is a equity account, normal credit balance, so it will be increased with a credit. I had a number of people, I don't think in this section, but in my day face-to-face classes, that had a habit of getting the right accounts, but crediting them instead of debiting them, and vice versa. I don't know. They got the little 3x5 note card. They just flip-flopped them. Unfortunately, that's not correct. How can you decrease cash when you're starting a business and the business doesn't have any cash? Maybe I'll ask them, the students that did that, and they could explain it to me. Transaction B. Abracadabra Cadavers, Inc. pays $1,000 to register with the government for professional licensing fee. Okay, so they're paying a fee. That's an expense. So they pay it with cash. Cash is an asset, but here it's decreasing, so it's going to be credited for $1,000. The offsetting debit is going to be, let's see if I gave you in there, professional licensing expense. That sounds pretty descriptive. Maybe I should have made it professional registration expense. And there it is there. The expense account gets a debit. The asset gets a credit because the cash is going out. So it's decreasing. The expense is being incurred. It's being increased with a debit. Transaction C. Abracadabra Cadavers, Inc. purchases a vehicle to use in the business. The vehicle cost $40,000 and was financed by signing a note payable. So the vehicle we're getting, it's an asset, so it gets increased with the debit. Excuse me. And the note payable, the liability, gets increased with a credit. Transaction D. Abracadabra Cadavers received $7,500 from Painless Medical College, a not very well-known medical school located in Canada's Northwest Territories, founded by doctors Mordecai Liss and Lester Payne, for locating and delivering 2 corpses to the school. Okay, so he did some work, and he gets paid. So they are receiving, Abracadabra Cadavers is receiving cash payment from the medical college. Cash as an asset gets increased with the debit of $7,500, and we're going to credit a revenue account. See if I give any there. Expense commissions earned. Yeah, could be commissions earned. Could be service revenue. Did I have service revenue in there? Yeah. No, unearned revenue. Okay. So yeah, I would have taken service revenue, sales, any type of revenue account other than interest or dividends or capital gains, something like that. Transaction E. Painless Medical College orders another 3 cadavers and pays Abracadabra $10,000 at the time of the order. The order will be filled/delivered next month. So here, Abracadabra Cadavers Inc. is getting paid prior to delivering the goods. So we're going to acknowledge the receipt of cash by debiting the asset called cash for $10,000 and crediting a liability account called unearned revenue. Oops, maybe I didn't have that high enough. Okay, part 4, 3 essay questions, 10 points each. I'm going to send these out. I have them typed up because I'm going to make copies to give to so I'll send them out as attachment, but I'll briefly go over them and explain things as we go. Number 1, a little bit of confusion maybe because I had a poorly worded question on my part. I apologize for that. Describe the rules for writing journal entries. What I was looking for was you write the account being debited first up against the left-hand margin. The account or accounts being debited are written immediately under those being columns. Okay. The total of the debits and the total of the credits must be equal. That would have got you the full 10 points. The answer I have written out, typed up, a little bit longer than that. People told me things related to it, but not exactly what I was looking for. And I guess that's my fault. I have trouble with the English language, even though I was born here and only speak it. I did do a lot of Spanish in high school. Again, people were telling me how to record, write in the general journal, then post it to the ledger, then blah, blah, blah. And it showed that they knew what was going on in chapters 1 and 2, but didn't specifically answer the question. And quite a number of people did that. So it's my fault for a poorly constructed question. And again, on these essays, I fairly liberal grading, giving everybody the benefit of the doubt, as long as it was somewhat related to the question and or accounting. You lost points if you said something that was inaccurate. Some people got extra point here and there because they were so cohesive in their answer and it was written very neatly and the English was very good. I always get frustrated with the essay questions because I spend half the time correcting English grammar and spelling, well as the content of accounting knowledge. Question number 2, briefly list and describe the 4 financial statements. Believe it or not, I had some people that gave me 2 or 3 or gave me 4, but not the 4 that are normally used in accounting. The statements are the income statement. That is a summary of the revenue and expense accounts for a period of time, resulting in showing profit or loss, net income or net loss for the period. Some people just told me that it is a statement that shows profitability. Well, it can also show negative profitability, which is called the loss. After we do the income statement, we have to do the statement of retained earnings, which is merely a statement that shows the beginning balance of retained earnings at the beginning of the period and the balance at the end of the period and the changes to get us from the beginning to the end of year balance of retained earnings. The items that would be the changes would be, it would be increased for net income, decreased for net loss, and a decrease for the payment of dividends. Third statement is the balance sheet, which is merely a listing of the assets and the liabilities and equity accounts of a business. The total of the liabilities and stockholders' equity must equal the assets. It is the only statement that is for a point in time versus a period of time. We'll talk about that more in Chapter 4. It is also, should have said the income statement is also sometimes referred to as a profit and loss statement or the statement of operations. The balance sheet is sometimes, the statement of retained earnings doesn't have another name unless you're dealing with a proprietorship or a partnership. The balance sheet is sometimes called the statement of net worth or the statement of financial position. So it shows the assets and who has claim on the assets, how much the claim the creditors have, and how much claim the owners have. Number 3, briefly, I'm sorry, I didn't do the statement of cash flows. I apologize. Statement of cash flows shows the cash inflows and outflows to an organization for a period of time from operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. A lot of people just said, cash in and cash out. Yeah, it basically correct, but it doesn't say from the 3 different types of activities. And, cash, where the cash came from, where the cash went, I accepted because that's true too. But again, a lot of people lost some points there because of not stating that it's from operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. Finally, number 3 essay, briefly describe the general journal, the general ledger, a chart of accounts, and a trial balance. Well, the general journal is often called the book of original entry and is where we record transactions as they occur. Okay, the only order in the general journal is chronologic order. The transactions can affect a myriad of accounts. Okay, a journal entry that has one account debited and one account credited is a simple journal entry. If you have one or if you have 2 or more accounts being debited or 2 or more accounts being credited, it is called a compound journal entry. And regardless of whether it's a simple or compound entry, the debits and credits have to be equal. The general ledger is a collection of accounts which shows all the changes to an account for a period and the balance of the account. It's in order according to how the accounts are listed in the chart of accounts, and that would be a listing all the assets first, followed by the liability accounts, then the equity accounts, then the revenue accounts, and then the expense accounts. A chart of accounts is merely a listing of the account used by a business and their account number or code. It does not contain any data or information, just a listing of accounts, sort of like a legend and a map or an index. Finally, a trial balance is a summary of the general ledger accounts. It lists all the accounts in the general ledger that have a balance other than 0 in order. It is used as a summary. Again, it's part of the last step of the processing, part of the definition, and it is used to a stepping off point to prepare the financial statements. Okay, that about does it. I'll be mailing the written up essays I have out with the link to this YouTube video. So congratulations. Again, if you want explanation on anything you got wrong, please drop me an email and I'll try to give you a explanation.